Hello, comrades, and happy May Day. I'm not kidding. Today's May Day, May 1st, 2020, and you're watching a special episode of Get Real with Ralph, bringing you some important numbers. Today actually is May Day. May Day is a national holiday celebrating the international workers. It is one that has been celebrated in communist countries since the Bolshevik Revolution. If you're a communist, if you're a committed socialist, and I'm not talking about those special democratic socialists in America, I'm talking about a real hardline, do as I say socialist, you're living under what that would look like right now and one of the most repressive periods in our history. Probably the most repressive period in our history. Are you scared yet? You should be. Now, I want to say that from the beginning, I was wrong. I was, like everybody else, for sheltering in place, staying home. I looked at the numbers. The numbers were very scary to me, as they should be to everybody else, both in the numbers of cases, how quickly this disease spread, and in what looked like the fatality rate. But here's a very important thing to understand. Numbers change as more data comes in. And when data comes in that doesn't support your initial decision, you're supposed to put ego away and make better decisions. Here's what I didn't count on. I didn't count on 82% of Americans to get lulled to sleep by Uncle Sam telling you just stay home and stay safe, and the government will take care of you. I didn't expect that. I really expected people would stay home, they would stay safe, and they would stay vigilant and pay attention to what's going on around them. What's going on around you, what's going on around me, what's going on in our country, in our community, and even in southeastern Wisconsin is not okay. We are being ripped off right now by foreign countries and by corporate America. That's right. You can go to Target and go buy a pair of jeans. Just don't go to Brett Bjorn's or S.J. Crystal's downtown Kenosha because they're not deemed essential. This is the type of thing that's happening. The American business owner, the American worker is being put under the thumb of the government. With a couple of little stimulus checks and a couple of scare tactics, you are now comfortably safe at home watching Netflix. You know, the interesting thing is I don't know anywhere in this country where they have banned the sale of or made it harder for you to go buy liquor, or in states where marijuana is legal, go and buy your weed. Now, I'm a libertarian. If you want to smoke weed, smoke all you want. I've got no problem with that. None. But don't go to church. Your government will arrest you. Don't go outside without a mask. And we're not talking about outside at Summerfest, folks, where you're 4 feet away from people spraying spit all over each other as you're drinking. We're talking about walking in a park by yourself, and society's looking at you like there's something wrong with you. You must be nuts if you're not wearing a mask. There's something really weird with this rat on your neighbor or shame your neighbor on Facebook mentality that's going on. Aren't you the selfish one wanting to go to work? You've all been conned. You've all been lied to. And today I have data to prove it, and we're going to take a look at that right now. This is a graph of Wisconsin COVID-19 cases compared to states with no stay-at-home orders and picking counties that had similar-sized populations. Now, I'm going to go back and forth between the raw data and the chart. The raw data is right here. And you have Milwaukee County, which has 945,000 people in it. Brown County, which has 264,000 people. For those of you in Rio Linda or Bora Bora, Brown County is where Green Bay, Wisconsin is located. That's where the Green Bay Packers are. All right. Dane County, the seat of our wonderful state government in the People's Republic of Madison, with 546,000 residents. And Kenosha County, our own southeastern Wisconsin county of 169,000 residents. Those make up the 4 most populated counties in the state of Wisconsin. Now, just to make sure that I didn't have that apples to oranges argument about the states not having stay-at-home orders being mostly rural, we went and we picked out the most populated counties in these states, which, by the way, isn't very hard to find. You just need to use Google, that source that is the authoritative source for all things COVID-19 right now. So the most populated county in Utah, Salt Lake County, 1.16 million people. Oklahoma County, Oklahoma, which is where Oklahoma City is, 797,000. Not exactly a rural area. Tulsa County, outside of Tulsa, Oklahoma, 651,000. Also not exactly a very rural place. Utah County, Douglas County, Nebraska, Polk County, Iowa, Pulaski County, Arkansas, Cass County, North Dakota, Laramie County, Wyoming, and last but not least, the anomaly in the graph that I'm about to show you, Minnehaha County, South Dakota, which has a whopping 70 cases per 10,000, but still only 5 deaths per 10,000, which is on par with several of Wisconsin's counties. Let's take a look at these numbers on a chart and let's do some explaining. All right, so cases per 10,000. As you can see, the highest one on here is Brown County, Wisconsin, with the exception of Minnehaha County, South Dakota. That's an outlier that I'm going to get to in a moment. Then you have Cass County, North Dakota. Then you have Kenosha County. Then you have Salt Lake County, 1.1 million people. One of the lowest rates on here per 10,000. Then you have Utah County, Polk County, Pulaski, Douglas County. And then you have some really small numbers in Oklahoma and Tulsa County, Oklahoma. Now we're going to look at the deaths per 100,000. We did deaths per 100,000 so the red line would be 10 times longer so you could at least see it in comparison to each other. Otherwise, they wouldn't even be viewable on this chart. And again, Milwaukee leads with deaths per 100,000. Milwaukee, which has severe lockdown orders in place, compared to these counties that have no lockdown orders in place in their states. What do you see? Well, let's talk about the outlier. The outlier in this entire graph is Minnehaha County, South Dakota, which backs up another theory that I've been talking about and sharing on my page for the last couple of weeks. And that is that when you test everybody, you have much higher numbers. For example, the Bureau of Prisons did some testing, and they tested a facility with 3,000 people. There's also a homeless facility in Boston that tested their entire population, and there have been some samples that have been taken of large cities. And anytime that these studies are being done, what we're finding is that we have way more cases than we're reporting. As a matter of fact, 95% of all cases of COVID-19, when you test large areas, are asymptomatic. People are walking around with the virus and no symptoms. So let's go back to Minnehaha County, South Dakota. All right, Minnehaha County, South Dakota is the location of, or actually near the location of, the Smithfield Foods plant, which is actually located in Sioux Falls. What happened there? They had a large outbreak. As a result, what did they do? They tested everybody. When they tested everybody, what does that do to the numbers? The numbers spike as far as number of people infected, because we already know, based on cruise ships, based on prisons, based on homeless shelters, that when you test everybody, most people are asymptomatic, and all of the other denominators on the equation are being used by only testing sick people. Are you with me? So because you're testing healthy people in Minnehaha County, or at least those that are working at the Smithfield plant, you have this huge spike in cases per 10,000. What you don't have is a huge spike in the red line. Do you see what I'm saying? Actually, this spike backs the data up, because when you test everybody, you have more cases, and yet we're at 5.89 deaths per 100,000 residents. Am I saying that that is an insignificant number? No, I'm not. One death is one too many. What I'm saying is that that number, deaths per 100,000, is lower than Milwaukee, where you should be staying home. The deaths are lower per 100,000 than in Kenosha County, where you should be staying home. So ask yourself, is it worth it? Is it worth sacrificing everything that we have worked for, everything our parents have worked for, everything that we have done to leave this great place for our children? Is it worth sacrificing that for numbers that just absolutely don't add up? That's the question you have to ask yourself. And then you need to wake up and you need to realize that this May Day is the day for freedom. Thank you, and God bless.